Well, good morning.
Good morning with the flies.
We are out with the flies.
We're not waving. We're very friendly people. We keep waving.
So we're actually...
That's actually funny.
Oh,
we
waving.
keep waving. We're friendly. Anyway, keep going. See?
We are at the, I was going to say Grand Canyon. We're at the King's Gorge.
You did say were we flying?
King's Gorge.
You did say we were flying last night.
Yeah.
Because of that pie.
Oh, that's right.
So maybe we are at the Grand Canyon. Anyway, sorry.
Back on task here.
Back on task. Sorry.
No. So yeah, we wanted to, before we show this next video or clip, welcome back. And today we're going to be looking at we actually broke our suspension on our Caravan.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do first is we're going to have a few chats throughout this video. One, I want to show you us on the road, where it happened, how it happened, what we did to get going, and then we will come back, have a bit of a chat about what we could have done better.
Well, I was driving.
No, not at all.
Well,
not at
all.
Nothing to do with that.
I was driving.
But yeah, we'd like to come back and chat about what we think we could have done better. And also we'd love your feedback on what we could have done better that could have maybe avoided this occurring. But we also would love your feedback. There is something really important that I think everyone needs to know or to check on your caravans.
Yeah.
And again, we're not an expert here. What I will say is I'll talk about the correspondence with
Caravan people.
The Caravan people. I won't name them, but you can see what brand we drive, and also the manufacturers. So we're going to talk about some of that communication along the way and some information as well. But so first of all, let's go have a look at us on the road when we discover we've broken our suspension. So we've pulled over on the side of the road because another guy here has broken axle. While we were there, two things have happened. One, I've noticed we've got a water leak, and then when I climbed under, we got suspension issues.
Go caravanning, they say. It'll be fun, they say. So here we are in the middle of nowhere.
Well, we'll be able to nurse at home anyway.
And we have an issue.
So we're going to limp back to Cooper Pedy nice and slow. Let the tyres down even further. Just try and take as much pressure off. Yeah.
Probably. There probably isn't any more.
Hopefully it's just like this. Yeah, obviously we don't want to risk it. We're going to just take it nice and easy. So yeah, I'd rather just get back to Cooper Pedy in your own steam than on the back of a tow truck. So not a major thing. I'm sure it'll be order the part, get it in and swap it over, but it could mean we're here for a week, I'm not sure, or a few days. They might even have the parts. Well, what a day. I'm gonna have to tie this it's actually dragging. It wasn't coming down before, but it's gonna have to tie it up. And also I pulled over because I'm gonna actually let out water out the other tank because I want as least amount of weight as possible. Oh, that was smart. There you go, our precious gold. So yeah, just want to take as much weight off this axle as possible. Well,
I don't even know.
What do you think?
Well, I personally, this is me.
Actually, before you go on.
No, go. What are you going to say?
I was going to say, before we tell you what we've discovered, can I just mention a couple of things. So there is a critical component that we're talking with that we believe is missing on our Caravan that could have caused this issue. But before we talk about that, let's talk about what I could have done better or what I did well. I think it'd be more what I could have done better.
Hey, I was talking. I was saying
Sorry.
what I thought.
Oh, okay, go on.
You just cut me right off.
Sorry, go on.
That's okay. Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go?
Go.
No, I just think I don't. Well, you're going to say what you could have done better. I don't know anything about travelling. I mean, about corrugation or what have you. But I do know that we drove so slow. We drove slow.
Yep.
Got a fly in your mouth. And we took, you know, when we saw.
When you talk about slow, what speed?
We were doing like 30 k's. Sometimes
when
30,
it got really bad.
Yeah, 30, 40. 40 was the average.
Yep.
I didn't go out when I was driving anyway.
If it was dead flat, I think
maybe 60.
60, yeah. But we were taking it easy.
Really easy. So that side of things, I think we did well. I know you lowered the tyre pressure. So
before we left, I lowered the tyre pressure 20% on the Caravan, which was recommendation when you're 20% and probably 15% on the car. Open for feedback where that should have went down further, but that's what I did there.
Yeah, so other than that, I don't know what else we could have done.
Yep.
That's me. Yeah.
Okay, so we discovered we broke the suspension. One thing that I probably could have done on the side of the road is remove the whole suspension at that point. Not the suspension, the shocky. So when we pulled over, it was sort of just hanging, but it wasn't dragging on the ground. So because we had 90 k's to go, I was keen, it was late afternoon, I was just keen to get back on the road, knowing we're going to go very slow. So I left it as it was. However, later on, I noticed it was dragging because we kept pulling over to check, and I then zip tied it up.
Yeah,
on a bit of an angle.
Us, actually.
Yep, to zip tied it up. But what do you think? Should have I totally removed it on the spot or zip tied it up? Some people, I spoke to someone and they said it was actually probably a bit dangerous even having it zipped up. I should have just taken it right out. It was on an angle, so even if the Caravan came down and hit it, it would have went down. But anyway, I also removed the water. So you probably saw that in the clip. I'd love your feedback.
That was really sad.
Yeah.
That was really sad.
And when you're off grid, watching good water.
Oh my gosh. And we thought when we got the water, but you forgot to mention, when we stopped, we didn't see the suspension, whatever that thing's called. What's it called?
The shock absorber.
The shock absorber. We didn't see that hanging down. We saw water pouring out of our tank.
Yep.
And we went, that we broke the tap. So the corrugation broke the tap on the tank underneath, but we had 2 water tanks. So we're seeing this one pour out, and I'm thinking, oh, that's so sad. That's okay, we've got another tank. Next thing,
I decided to, as I was driving along, I was like, you know what, I want to remove more weight off the Caravan.
So it's either me jumping out,
yeah,
or the water.
It was a hard choice. So yes, I removed water. I emptied all the water to remove weight. Now my question is, I'd love your feedback. Was that a good choice or not? Part of me was like, less weight is going to be better on the suspension and our situation.
Well, not on our situation.
However, if I had more weight in the Caravan, it's going to reduce the amount of travel that's going to occur with the actual suspension. So that could also be a good thing. So I did what I did on the road with the information I had. I removed the weight and we got home. Either way, win-win for us. But it is about learning. So let us know what you think happened there, you know, if I made the right call. Now, let's get on to the big issue. We got back to Cooper Pedy and I had a really good look. I started to climb under, trying to really work out why did the suspension shock absorber, break? It actually broke at the top. Why did the bolt break? And also when I looked at the holes where the bolts go through, they were all damaged. And I also noticed all the shock absorbers were loose. So I was really starting to think, what has happened here? And then it occurred to me, the bolts, they're not large bolts. And you'll probably see it better on the video. They're only small bolts, but there were no washers. So literally the bolts, nuts, sorry, wrong way around. These are nuts. They're only small nuts. Had actually worked into the hole, and you'll actually see on another video, which I'll show, it's rounded all the nuts, and obviously as they started to work in, it created a bit of give, vibration, and then it went from there. So I believe there should have been washers on all the suspensions, but there were none.
He did check under another Caravan that was beside us that had the same
setup,
and they had washers. It's
an Elco setup. So love to know what Elco think. Just a quick update. What we didn't mention in the video is we have contacted or emailed Elco as well. We came across the Elco Enduro Independent Trailing Suspension Manual, and they had an email at the bottom there, which once again we haven't had a reply from them either. But what I made specific note to in that email, and I'll bring it up on the screen again, if I'm reading this wrong, please correct me. I'm sure people will be pretty quick at that. But shock absorber mounting bolts. Whenever suspensions are removed and refitted, the bolt torque should be checked. I have since done that. We've got our own torque wrench. Always use calibrated torque wrench. Ensure new nylock nuts are used, which is what I did, for every installation, and existing washers are reinstalled to the correct location. So there's mention there should be washers, but I wanted to know specifically where. So when I emailed Elco, the email they provided, bottom of the document, I sent photos and I asked between the nylock nuts and that frame. Again, we've had no response. So with that, obviously I'm now coming out to the community, and as you'll hear, I have tried to reach out to other parties involved and no answers to our questions. So anyway, just wanted to add in that that we had reached out to them and what actions we'd taken so far. And I'll tell you what, where we're at with this. We notified
our person that made our Caravan.
Yep, the people that made the Caravan. Oh, actually, I don't mind naming them. You can see the brand, because we are still hoping for this to be resolved. So we reached out to Marvel. We got told to go through the warranty process. We then got an email back, because I shared my concern that none of the suspensions, shock absorbers had washers on any of the nuts and bolts.
They thought we took all the washers off.
So we got an email back through the warranty process, first of all advising us we're out of warranty. Secondly, saying how can they prove we didn't take the washers off? And we're like,
that's what you do in your spare time. You go and disassemble your Caravan
and take all the washers off. So we were like a bit bemused by that feedback. One, I think it's acknowledgement there should be washers. I'd love to know. No one's telling us. So I then forwarded photos of the frame, the bolts, everything onto an independent company, Caravan company, and said, can I get your advice? They came back with in their opinion, wow,
this is wrong.
There were never washers put on those bolts, and their reasoning was, if you look at the frame, and I'll show you on the video, there's no scratch marks, no indents. If you had a washer, if you had a bolt and a washer pushing up against metal, there would be scratch marks or bolts or something. There'd be some evidence there was a washer scratching, especially once that vibration started. There was, or even earlier on, sorry. But there's no evidence of washers ever being present. So with that information, we sent that back to Marvel, and with photos, with advice, and again got told they can't do anything. It'll have to go to the manufacturer. Now, as of now we are, how far out are we since it occurred?
Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Maybe 2 weeks. Let's go 2 weeks to be fair to them.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and we've still not had a response from the manufacturer, even though we've sent photos.
But we're okay about that. It's more for the fact that if this is a problem with their way they've done it, then if they all came off, then we could have been in huge trouble. And if other people are in that same position, then they need to
rectify it.
Callback, do callbacks or whatever. Recall, that's the word. Not callbacks. Yeah,
so
it's more for that.
But we still don't know. Maybe you don't need washers. Now, I'll show you a photo now where I saw an identical Caravan to ours, same setup, and they clearly have washers, and you can see that in the photo, where we have none. So
we did talk to, we went on the Marvel FB page and talked to a guy there, and he had washers on his.
Yep, other people have washers.
And they've got the same Caravan as us.
A lot of people commenting, well, to be honest, dodgy work. But that's people's opinion.
But that's not the Marvel's problem, because they didn't make it.
No, but they still sold. It's still okay. Now I want to declare a few things here as well, to be fair to all parties. Okay, we bought the Caravan secondhand. So the comment Marvel made to us, or their warranty people, were, how do we know you didn't remove the washers? Or how do we know the people before that didn't remove it? That's a fair enough call.
It'd only been used twice prior to us buying it.
By the other people. And I don't think people who bought it brand new, used it twice, are going to remove washers. So, but again, we'll leave you make that decision. And when you look at the evidence that there was no scratch marks of washers ever been there, you could, I think, we'd be pretty accurate in saying no washers were ever used. So my question for everyone here is, one, do you think this was the main contributing factor to the failure of the shock absorber?
Saying we were using low speed, we were being careful.
Yep.
We reduced the tyre pressure, and it happened.
Yep.
What else could have we done?
Yep. So we'd love to know. We still haven't had any response. If you have this brand Caravan, we'd love you to check under your suspension and see if you've got washers.
2022.
Or if you have Elco, it is an Elco brand. I'm not saying Elco are responsible. It's their product. It's a Elco product, but maybe installed. I don't know who installs what and what, if it's installed as a overall product. I'm not blaming any individual or anyone. Could be our fault.
It's a 2022.
We're trying to understand.
2022?
22.
2022 Marvel Golden Child. If you've got it, we'd love you to have a check of yours.
Yeah.
Let us know, please.
But generally, just check, see if you have washers.
Even if you don't have that one.
Yep. I did have a look at someone yesterday, and they didn't have washers. It was a different brand and a different setup. However, they had huge, big nuts. Not these. I should know what this size is. You mechanics or people know better, but
little.
Yeah, these aren't big nuts.
That's next to my thumbnail.
And the hole was only marginally smaller. So the problem that we're left with now.
Doesn't fit on my pinky.
The problem we're left with now is the holes have actually been enlarged. There's been damage to all the holes. So we still have ongoing issues that we would love Elco, Marvel, the manufacturer, someone to reach out and advise us on what we should do.
You can see on the video that Bruce has fixed it.
Yeah. So let's have a look at now. We'll jump to us fixing the what I did to fix it, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, so we are installing our new shock absorber. Unfortunately, I've got to use the parts that I've got. They're not all exact. The spacer that I'm using comes out a little bit further. So this one, then that one, but it's going to be on a little bit of an angle. But that will get us going till we can get this all sorted long term. And also the bolt, a little bit longer coming out. Oops. So I'm going to have to pack it. I've got these little 1-inch galvanized plates that I'm putting in there, which will just pack it all. So hopefully that gets it all going. So when you compare, whoops, I'll come around this way. Not a lot of room under here. When you compare what I've done here, there's no movement. Compare to that one, still heaps of movement. So I've got to go through and tighten them all up now. Redoable. So because I'm taking the nylon nuts off, and they've got the little blue, don't know if you can see it, the little blue nylon in there. I've gone and bought all brand new nylon bolts as well to replace all the ones that I undo. So plus put washers in there. Just want to show you the damage. Don't know if you can see it that well, but you can see where the nut has been rubbing all here. It's all been rounded, so I've been working into the hole because there were no washers there. If I compare that to a new one, hopefully you can see how much better the new bolt is. So anyway, we'll try and get this new one on, put a washer there, and yeah, keep working. So first of all, a couple of things I want to say. Removing some of those nuts were very difficult. You can't see it here. There was a video which I showed where the damage on the nuts, they've totally been rounded by the fact that they're pushing through the hole.
Friction.
Yeah, friction. So I couldn't get a spanner on them. I couldn't get it, and especially the location. So this one in particular, I had to get a grinder and cut off. I didn't video that because I was just so focused on what I had to do.
And I wasn't around.
Yep. So I had to. Fortunately, where we're staying at Coober Pedy, it's actually the Big Four.
Yeah.
They were amazing. So the
groundsman there, he just couldn't help you enough.
Yep. So when I said, look, do you have a grinder? He gave us a grinder. I went down to the hardware and bought 3 or 4 new discs. I only used one, but gave him 3 or 4 new discs in return. I really appreciated that, so I was able to grind that off. But that's our situation, and we still don't know. I'm not a mechanic.
Pretty handy.
But I'd love to know what I could have done better. Is there something from our end, or could have it been done better from the other end, so we all can learn? I think that's our goal.
And I wanted to say, please everybody check your suspension and see if it's got the little nuts and the bigger holes. Just check it, because particularly if you've got a caravan like this, you're clearly traveling with kids. So just make sure everyone's safe.
So, but anyway, that's where we're at with this video, and yeah, I'll leave it there. But we really would love your comments, your feedback. If you're one of those manufacturers, actually what I'd love to know is, Elco, is there a recommendation on how this shock absorbers should be installed? Should they have washers? So, I mean, it's an Elco product, not saying they installed it, but would you recommend washers be used?
Well, if not, bigger bolts, bigger, what are they called, nuts?
Bigger nuts.